Holzman's here.
Good morning, Commissioner. This is the agenda room.
Is that a good idea? Everyone can participate.
This is now unmuted.
It's now unmuted.
Good morning.
Okay. I will not give away any secret recipes or anything. Did y'all come together in the same car? Y'all walked in at the same time?
We rode together.
So I heard Commissioner Holzman was on the line. Did I hear any? Anybody run downstairs and check the bulletin board, make sure we're good? Kim, was that your, Jim? Yeah, he's researching, you know, the thing like that, so.
Commissioner Coleman is here.
Good morning, Commissioner Cole.
Good morning. Is that Commissioner Coltmeyer?
Myers here, yes.
Who is speaking?
That was Commissioner Roop speaking and wishing you a good morning.
Oh, hello. I couldn't quite catch the voice this morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioner Coltmeyer. And good morning, everyone else in the room. Good morning.
Well, with those volleys of good mornings, sounds like we have our entire commission is assembled or on the phone. And according to the international clock on my Apple phone, it says it is now 10:15, and we can begin the weekly agenda meeting for the Missouri Public Service Commission. Today is June 22nd, 2023. And before we begin today's meeting, would remind everyone on the phone to please mute your phones unless you are planning to speak so that others can be heard. And there are 4 tariffs and new orders and 1 case discussion in our agenda today. Prior to getting into that, we must approve the minutes from the June 14th agenda meeting. I know those have been distributed in advance to all the commissioners. Commissioners, after you've had a chance to review these, is there any questions or corrections or changes that need to be made to the minutes from the June 14th meeting? Hearing none, I would make the motion that we approve the minutes from the June 14th, 2023 agenda. All those in favor of approving those minutes, please say aye.
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 And those are approved by a vote of 5-0. All right, jumping right on into our tariffs and new orders today. First up is file number GE 2023-0355. This is in the matter of the application of Roslyn Alternative Energy, LLC, for a permanent waiver of certain provisions of law for their Locust Ridge line. On April 12th, Roslyn Alternative Energy Services filed an application requesting a waiver of the gas pressure and odorization requirements in operation of a gas transmission line in Sullivan and Mercer counties in Missouri. On May 25th, the staff of the commission recommended the commission approve Roslyn's application for waiver subject to some conditions, of which Roslyn has indicated it has no objections, and staff's recommendation to approve the application with those specified conditions. No one else responded to the application or staff's recommended conditions. None have been received, so therefore the commission, having reviewed and considered Roslyn's application and staff's recommendations, has determined that in this order that the waiver of the gas pressurization and gas odorization requirements will not compromise gas safety, and therefore this order will grant the waiver request with the conditions outlined by staff. And I would recommend that we approve this order, version number 1. Commissioner Coleman,
I support the order.
Commissioner Holzman,
I'm in support of the order.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer,
I'm in support.
Commissioner Hahn.
I'm also in support.
Great. All those in favor of supporting that order, version number 1, please say aye.
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 That order is approved on a vote of 5-0. Next up is file number RA 2023-0381. This is in the matter of Dish Wireless LLC and their application to be an eligible telecommunications carrier in the state of Missouri for the limited purpose of providing lifeline services to qualifying customers. So on May 5th, Dish Wireless LLC requested its designation as an eligible telecommunication carrier and to request ETC designation on a statewide basis for the purpose of receiving federal low-income support. The staff of the commission on June 7th filed its recommendation stating that the commission should approve Dish's request as an eligible telecommunications carrier. So based upon its review of Dish's application and staff's recommendation, the commission finds that the Dish has met the requirements of ETC designation, and this order grants Dish's request. And I would recommend that we approve this order, version number 1. Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I'm in support of the order.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer.
I support the order.
Commissioner Hahn.
Also in support of the order.
Great. All those in favor of approving that order, version number 1, please say aye.
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 That is approved by a vote of 5-0. Next up, we have file number LO-2023-0384. This is in the matter of the application of Teleport Communications America, LLC, for review and reversal of the North American Numbering Plan's 1,000-block pooling administrator's decision to withhold numbering resources. So back on May 8th, Teleport Communications of America filed an application requesting that the Public Service Commission review and then reverse a decision of the North American Numbering Plan administrators who had denied Teleport's application to obtain 1,000 contiguous numbers in the Harvester, Missouri Rate Center to implement new phone service for BJC Healthcare. Staff of the commission filed its recommendation on June 7th that the commission should grant Teleport's request and believes that Teleport has demonstrated a verifiable need for the additional phone numbers. No other applications to intervene, nor were there any requests for hearing or any other recommendations have been filed. So based on Teleport's application and staff's recommendation, the commission finds that Teleport has demonstrated a verifiable need for numbering resources and has exhausted all other available remedies. So therefore, this order will overturn the North American Numbering Plan Administrator's decision and does grant Teleport's request. And I recommend we approve this order, version number 2. Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I'm in support of the order.
And Commissioner Kolkmeyer.
I'm in support.
And Commissioner Hahn.
Also in support.
Great. All those in favor of supporting that order, version number 2, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That is approved on a vote of 5-0. Next up, we have file number EC 2023-0281. This is Charles A. Harder, complainant, versus the Union Electric Company, DBA Ameren, Missouri, respondent. On June 6th, Mr. Harder filed a motion for a stay order objecting to a deposit required notice he received and is asking the commission to stop Ameren, Missouri from demanding a deposit and from disconnecting electric service to his residents pursuant to the Missouri Due Process Clause. Mr. Harder also asked the commission to direct Ameren, Missouri to respond to his data requests. Staff responded to Mr. Harder's motion for staying, stating that there is no commission rule that prohibits disconnection of service during pendency of a formal complaint. Staff advises the commission that the complainant's service was disconnected for failure to pay amounts accrued after he filed his complaint. Thus, the payment that is now subject to this motion is not the amount in dispute that is the subject of the complaint. Therefore, the commission will deny the motion for stay. Additionally, Ameren, Missouri has responded to Mr. Harder's motion explaining that it had timely objected to the data request, that the deadline for responding to Mr. Harder's data request had not passed, and that Mr. Harder's motion is therefore untimely. Mr. Harder has not certified compliance with the requirements of Commission's discovery dispute procedure which is prescribed by rule. So the commission will not entertain his discovery motion. Accordingly, this order will deny Mr. Harder's motion requesting an order requiring Ameren, Missouri to answer data requests. And I recommend we approve this order, version number 2. Commissioner Coleman.
I am in support of the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer.
I support the order.
And Commissioner Hunt.
Also in support.
Great. All those in favor of supporting that order, version number 2, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And that order is approved on a vote of 5-0. Well, that is enough, all of the tariffs and new orders we have for today, but we do have a case discussion. Come on down, Judge. This is in file number GC 2023-0143. This is Structural Gas Systems, Inc., and their complaint against Spire, Missouri. DBA Spire is the respondent. Judge, you want to start us off, and then we can dive right in?
Well, we held an evidentiary hearing in this matter, and I've provided all of the, I've condensed and provided all of the relevant information in a post-hearing memorandum for your review, and for your decisions on the issues at hand. I'm here to answer any questions.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Judge. Thank you for the memo and for everything. So I will just, since there's really just kind of the two questions, probably can just summarize it in a conversation here. And Judge, you let us know if you do not have enough information to proceed with your order. So I'll just go ahead and chime in with my thoughts, and then we can kind of go around the table as we usually do, in this case. So this case, there was a lot of really interesting things with this case, because there was differences of how tariffs were being interpreted, and the evidence brought up some interesting facts about the case. After the hearing and reading the evidence, I think it was very clear that the complainant, Structural Gas Systems, did use the amount of gas that they had been billed for. So that was the case that yes, they did utilize that service, and they did consume that. The question then comes into what does the tariff language say? And I know we've had cases in the past where we've had people that have brought forward complaints that said, hey, I've used this amount of energy, but the bills were extremely high, and therefore I shouldn't have to pay. But what's different in some of these other cases is when you look at actually the tariff language that Spire does actually have in the language. So walking away from the hearing, I did not really feel that the argument was clearly articulated as well in the hearing as it was in the post-reply briefs. I believe that the Office of Public Counsel in their post-reply briefs really outlined a very clear argument on this case. And I think that was kind of a deciding factor for me, is that they were able to outline that the sections of Spire's tariffs that focused on customers other than residential stated that in the event of an undercharge, an adjustment shall be made for the entire period that the undercharge exists part. I believe that the way that this was handled in the communication and the knowledge and the way it was conveyed to the customer leaves a lot of room for improvement for the company on how they should be handling customer service issues moving forward. So that was a big concern that came out of this, was just the company should be doing better on this side. So that being said, you have to look at what the tariff language does state. And I think the most logical reading of the tariff does prohibit Spire from rebilling the undercharged amounts after Spire discovered the billing issue, but before Spire fixed that issue. So it would be my position that Spire can only rebill under the undercharged amount from November 2021 through January of 2022 when Spire discovered the billing issue. I think the policy standpoint is, permitting utilities to knowingly keep bill prices low with the knowledge that those utilities will be able to recoup those funds in the future is contrary to the public interest. And I think practices such as these are kind of central to why this commission exists. And I think allowing a utility approximately 5 months to fix a billing issue and then still expecting to recover the entire rebill amount is unreasonable. So it would be my position that the commission should only allow Spire to rebill the undercharged amount from November 2021 through January 2022 when they discovered the billing issue. I also would be in favor of having the company provide some type of a payment plan for the respondent, with zero interest, so that if it is difficult for the respondent to come up with the lump sum, that they would work with them to be able to come up with some type of a payment plan. I know we have done this in the past with other entities that is out there. So that kind of is where I am at, and I really appreciate the Structural Glass Systems bringing this forward. I believe that there are other situations like this that are existing because of this billing error. I do believe it probably was because Structural Glass Systems' previous landlord was divvying out the gas bills, and maybe the amount of low payments they were making, possibly they could have been being subsidized by other tenants, and so when this happened, it was such a large increase, noticeable, and maybe that is why the company brought this forward. But I am glad that they did, because it does give this commission an opportunity to get a peek into how the companies are handling some of these discrepancies. And I hope this is an opportunity for the company to improve upon its customer service issues, especially if there are any more of these system complaints coming through because of the billing error of the dropping of the decimal. So those are my thoughts, Commissioner Coleman. Love to hear what's on your mind.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This indeed was a very interesting case to consider, and as that hearing progressed that day, I kept thinking about how this could actually happen, to get so many months of underbilling, and then what appeared to be the inability to reach some type of conclusion between Spire and the customer. I think this was indeed discombobulated considerably on Spire's part. I agree with your statements. I agree with the time frame for monies due, the date that you gave that the money should be recovered from. And when I was considering this, my other thought was that if I was this customer and needed to repay this underbilling, I would definitely want and probably need the time to have a payment plan in place, to have these payments spread out, and something that was reasonable and agreeable between both the customer and Spire. So that's where I am on this.
Great. Commissioner Holzman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your summary. I think you hit all the points, and I agree with your position. And I would just be curious to see how many other situations like this exist, and what the company might be doing to try to identify those.
And Commissioner Kochmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, you summed it up very well. That and Commissioner Coleman's comments, I agree with both of you. So I would be in support of your position.
Commissioner Hahn?
Thank you. I also agree with everything that's been said by all of the commissioners so far. just for one point of clarification, if the charges are through January, that would be reflected on the February 9th bill. So the company would be able to recover everything prior to that February 9th bill. I believe that's the date. So just for clarification, but I completely agree with the payment plan and the interpretation of the tariff language. And hopefully if this tariff language is an issue in the future, we would, the company may perhaps look at modifying that tariff language.
And Commissioner Allen, you bring up a good point. 5 years recovery for billing, that seems long. So maybe that is something that should be addressed in the future or discussed, but yeah, because theoretically, under the way they're looking at it, you could have a billing issue the company knew about. They could wait all the way up to 4 years and 10 months, and then come back and hit you with that. That's a conversation for another day. But Commissioner Allen, I think you touched on something that probably future commissions should maybe look into. So thank you, Commissioners. Judge, I think I hear a majority opinion, actually almost unanimous.
I believe I heard that as well.
Is there anything else that you need to have clarified before you can write your order?
I believe I have everything I need to get started. If I have anything else, I'll bring it to the commission.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for your professionalism and for your well-written memo, and kudos to whoever drafted the OPC brief. I thought you did a very good job of articulating the argument. I always like to point out, and people do a very, very good job. So that's it, Judge. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Chairman.
All right, so that ends our case discussion. So I know you guys are all eagerly awaiting the Director of Antiquities and Historical Knowledge's update. I believe we have some information on Marilee Otis today, but I'm going to keep you waiting a little bit longer because we got to go through a schedule. So on Friday, June 23rd, we have a local public hearing. That is in WR 2023-0006. That is Confluence River's request for an authority to implement a general rate increase in water and sewer services provided in the Missouri service area. That is going to be at noon in Farmington, Missouri, at the Farmington Municipal Courthouse. At noon in Farmington, Missouri, at the Farmington Municipal Courthouse on Friday, June 23rd. Then the final local public hearing in that same case is going to be held on Monday, June 26th. That is going to be a WebEx-only hearing, and that is going to start at 6 p.m. on WebEx only on Monday, June 26th, in the Confluence Rivers case I just mentioned. Wednesday, June 28th, we will have our agenda at 10:15 a.m. Tentatively, we have scheduled an agenda for Wednesday, July 5th at 10:15 a.m. It would be our hope to be able to cancel this agenda due to where the holiday is falling, unless there is any operation of law date things that we have to do. So we would be on the lookout for hopefully an announcement to cancel that agenda hearing as we move closer to that. Wednesday, July 12th, we have agenda at 10:15 a.m. Then we do have our National Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners Policy Summit. That is running from Sunday, July 16th to Wednesday, July 19th. On Monday, July 17th, we have an evidentiary hearing on EC 2023-0281. This is Charles Harder complainant versus Missouri American Water Company respondent, and that is going to be in the St. Louis Wainwright office building, Suite 105, and that will be on Monday, July 17th. Thursday, July 20th, we have agenda at 10:15 a.m. Then on Friday, July 21st, we have an evidentiary hearing in WC 2022-0227. That is Sarah Nangle, complainant versus Missouri American Water Company respondent, and that is going to be a WebEx hearing. So that concludes scheduling. Any changes or comments from scheduling from the commissioners? Great, and now the moment I know you all have been waiting for. Can we have our Director of Antiquities and Historical Knowledge, Mr. Jim Bush, here to give us some information What are you going to teach us today about the commission?
So, Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners, as you all recall, the chairman has been asking about Merrill Otis the last couple of agendas, so did a little research and a couple of interesting facts about former Chairman Otis. He's from beautiful Hopkins, Missouri. He graduated from the University of Missouri, and he got a Bachelor of Law degree. Bachelor of Laws. Before it was a Juris Doctor, it was a Bachelor of Laws degree, which I had no idea. So they didn't change it to a Juris Doctorate until the 60s here in the United States. So I thought, so that was rather interesting. He worked in the St. Joseph area before moving to an Assistant State Attorney General. His term with the commission was from 1923 to 1924, where he served as a commissioner at the chairman the entire time. He left the commission to become an Assistant Solicitor General for the United States, and then was appointed by President Coolidge in 1925 to a seat on the U.S. District Court of the Western District of Missouri, of which he finished out his career. The one case that they talked about that was of interest, and if any Missouri historians are interested, if you remember or read about the Pendergast party control, he was the judge on the trial for Tom Pendergast back in 1939 that put Pendergast in jail and which destroyed the Pendergast ring in Kansas City. So,
That's fascinating.
I thought that was pretty cool. And the Pendergast ring is the one that obviously put Harry S. Truman to his path to presidency at some point in time.
What? Wait, whoa. Merrill E. Otis is pretty much the guy that is responsible for Missouri having its only president.
You could probably make that connection some way, somehow. Yeah, because he put Pendergast in jail, and that separated Truman from Pendergast, and then that's how, yeah.
Merrill E. Otis.
Merrill Otis.
Thank you, Mr. Otis. Thank you, Mr. Bush.
There you go.
That was excellent. Holy
Yes.
cow.
Absolutely.
Kim, he is
Thank you,
setting
Mr.
the
Bush.
bar.
Good luck, Kim.
Can't do it, no.
That was fascinating. All right. Wow. Well, that was wonderful. Next week, I think we're going to be looking into some chairmanship floppings in the 1970s to see what happened here. We had a chairman that, well, he was chairman, then something happened. Oh, new person comes in. Oh, 2 years later, he's back. What happened? What was the skinny? What was the scuttlebutt? You're going to have to tune back in next week.
Are you Paul Harvey now? Is this Paul Harvey's the rest of the story?
It's exactly what it's going to be. You ask my wife, and she will agree. My dream job was to be a game show host. So you're all are kind of living vicariously through me with our history stuff. But getting us back on track. Any other business coming before the commission? All right. Well, a very good commission hearing today. I'm armed with new facts to go bore my kids. So on that note, we will call this meeting to an end, and we shall adjourn the commission meeting for today, June 22nd, 2022. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.